So if you were in a state that wasn't favorable, but a neighboring state was, and you knew somebody who lived there, or a business or something like that, you could have your med exam done there, and that's where your contract state would be. And so you would get the benefits of that contract state, even though you reside somewhere else. And again, these are all opportunities for people who are mobile. And I think this is actually, I talked about baby boomers. I think this is happening more and more in the younger generations of like this, you want to just travel around and be your own person kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think this can be a very good opportunity as well of setting up, a financial asset that can travel with you wherever.
Yeah. This is BetterWealth with Caleb Guilliams. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the BetterWealth Breakdown. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about how life insurance can impact the expat community. And before this episode, I didn't even know what the expat community meant, but Right Hand Dan is going to break down everything you need to know about not only the expat community, but why every single one of them need to have their money figured out and how life insurance can be beneficial for them.
Yeah, the expat movement, which comes from the term expatriate. Be careful not to say expatriate, but expatriate, then short expat community, is a lot of times generally the baby boomer generation. And basically what it means is going to either temporarily or permanently reside in a country that's outside of where you were brought up. And so there's been a big movement, again, with the baby boomers of amassing a nest egg and then going to retire in a country with a lower cost of living.
Yep.
And so the question is, how does life insurance benefit the expat community? And I actually have a story of somebody who in our community, this is amazing. This talks about how we will literally go to the ends of the earth to help people set up a properly designed and asset or term insurance when it makes sense. And in this scenario, the couple was residing in Spain, originally from the US.
How did they hear about us, by the way?
The podcast.
Okay, wow. We're a international podcast.
Yeah, so they were in Spain, and they heard about us and reached out and basically said, "Hey, we're living in Spain. We're expats. Is there anything that we can do? Can you guys help us?" And of course, our servant nature is like, "Of course we can," without really knowing what's going on. And so we go through the process, figure out what they're trying to accomplish, and lo and behold, a properly designed and asset was going to serve them super, super well. And here's why. You maintain control of capital. And when you're residing in another country, it can be very difficult to get financing. It can be very difficult to set up banking relationships, and especially real estate. I think it's very difficult to get a loan for real estate in other countries. And so they actually wanted to use their policy for more of a retirement-esque, but they have ideas of how they can use their policies for real estate, for cars, for all kinds of different things. But what's really cool about this story is they're residing in Spain, but their daughter was getting married in Puerto Rico. And this is another lesser known secret about the life insurance industry is wherever your med exam occurs is where your contract state is.
Yep.
And Puerto Rico is a territory of the United States. And just so happens that we can have med exams done and certain companies will do business in Puerto Rico. And so they flew to Puerto Rico.
Yep.
For their daughter's wedding.
So we had to find a company that did what we wanted as far as overfunding life insurance. Then we had to find that same company that did business in Puerto Rico, because not all companies do that.
Yep.
And so I don't want to steal the thunder. I'm really proud of our team in this.
Yeah, I mean, highlight Trevor here. He was pulling out his old understanding of Spanish and language, and he was having to translate and do all kinds of stuff to get this med exam to happen. And we got it to happen. They had a beautiful wedding, and they flew back to Spain, and they got approved and life insurance funded. And so we have this amazing couple who's living in Spain, and they have great life insurance. That is technically their contract state is Puerto Rico, and they will be able to go wherever in the world with their life insurance and be able to use it and have total control of their money, have a tax-free death benefit, leave a legacy to people like her daughter or their daughter. And I just couldn't help but think of there's so many different ways that this could work for people that are U.S. nationals but are living abroad or are temporarily going abroad, and know that you have access and liquidity to this life insurance. And I want to touch on again with this whole med exam thing. This is going a little bit a different direction, but if you look at the creditor protection of life insurance, it can be advantageous to have your med exam done in a different state.
Yep.
Florida, for example, has unlimited creditor protections on both cash value and death benefit. And there's a whole list, and we can link this into the show notes of you can look at all the different creditor protections for life insurance. And so if you were in a state that wasn't favorable, but a neighboring state was, and you knew somebody who lived there, or a business or something like that, you could have your med exam done there, and that's where your contract state would be. And so you would get the benefits of that contract state, even though you reside somewhere else. And again, these are all opportunities for people who are mobile. And I think this is actually, I talked about baby boomers. I think this is happening more and more in the younger generations of like this, you want to just travel around and be your own person kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think this can be a very good opportunity as well of setting up, a financial asset that can travel with you wherever.
Yeah. We have a lot of people from Canada, Europe, Australia, reach out to us and say, hey, like can I get what you're talking about? I read your book. I want to get this. And if you live in Canada, we have partners in Canada that we can connect you with. But life insurance, especially the way that we design it and work with people, like it doesn't exist all around the country. Like
right.
it's very United States like based. And so
you mean around the world?
Around the world, sorry. And so that's one thing that we will also want to highlight is if you're listening to this internationally, you may or may not be able to benefit from this. But if you live in the States or if you are a U.S. citizen, it's a huge benefit. And not only does that highlight I remember Trevor going out of his way to making that med exam happen in Puerto Rico. I mean, that's unbelievable, and I'm really proud of him. But it also just highlights the awesome opportunity that we have as Americans that sometimes a lot of us take for granted. Yeah. And then just looking at it in as it relates to what state you get your medical exam in, there's some things that we want to do in the future when when we can start traveling and doing meeting with people. It may make sense to have workshops in certain states and other things. And so we're always dreaming about how do you take something already really good and how do you optimize it more?
Yeah.
And optimization is one of our favorite words, and it's just making the best of any situation or opportunity. And these are things that we've learned, and the good, the bad, the ugly. We're always be optimizing.
That's right. And I think this is just another example of being intentional. It's
like,
who knows how we can help this person, and we'll figure out a way, and it turned into an amazing opportunity and something that I hope we can help more people with. There's even other things. And this is where I get fired up into the minutia of all this stuff of if you are a foreign national and you spend a lot of time in the US and have a net worth that meets certain requirements, you can actually truly be a foreign national and get US based life insurance. And there's programs like that because US based life insurance is so good, and people all the time when they are either calling in or reaching out from other countries, and they see the stuff that we're producing content wise, they're like, man, I wish I could get this. And so I like to think of it as there's really nothing is impossible until it's impossible. And we will go literally to the ends of the earth to figure out a solution for you. And this is a good example of that. And I really do think this is an amazing opportunity for the expat community, and something that is really an underserved market. Because there's so little opportunity when it comes to financial vehicles and control and all of those aspects, tax rules and guidelines and all those things.
So do us a favor. If you know somebody that checks the box of being an expat, please share this piece of content with them, whether it's a YouTube video, whether it's a podcast. That would mean the world. There's not really a niche. There's not really people going after these group of people, because when you think about it, if you look at the age demographic, and then that is changing, but 10 years ago, Dan, no one was doing business virtually like this. So it's like we're very much in a new world. And 10 years ago, there's really like, who are you going to serve? Like, who's going to set up a med exam in Puerto Rico for you to do this? We want to be the company that not just works with people in the States, but works with people that check certain boxes. And so with that, man, great job on the ops side. We're here to serve. Go out and live intentionally. Thank you so much for listening to the BetterWealth podcast. It would mean the world to me if you could hit subscribe, leave a review, and share this with the people that you know and love.